sort of meeting both my musical family and my what has become my family. So I couldn't get enough of the amazing weather in London.
Well, this podcast is about the both of you and your journey in music and how you met, and we'll talk about the new record. Beautiful as well. That's cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, man. Sounds good.
Awesome. We'll start with you, Tenchi. Where were you born and raised?
So yeah, I was actually born and raised in Detroit, in the States, and yeah, grew up there. And basically, to cut a long story short, I ended up moving to London for university, and then I never left. So,
oh wow!
Yeah,
so you were born and raised here in the States, and then you took off 18 years old or so?
Yeah, a little bit before then, and yeah, I came over here and ended up sort of meeting both my musical family and my what has become my family. So yeah, I couldn't get enough of the amazing weather in London.
I'm sure it was. Is it better than Detroit though?
Yeah, it's different. It's
Detroit snows quite a bit, right?
Yeah. We have a lot of snow. Yeah, to be fair, yeah, it is different because like Michigan and like obviously up North America is like a lot of snow, a lot of like extreme cold, and here in London we're a bit more drizzly, constant drizzles. But we have amazing summers in London. Like you can't really beat the sunshine when it comes, the few times it comes around in the year. It's a vibe here.
That's cool. What was it like growing up in Detroit? Like what made go ahead, sorry. I asked you a question, I continue to talk.
No worries. Yeah, it was cool. Like obviously I was like in a suburb there. But yeah, it was good. I mean, my mom's family is all from the Midwest, so it was nice to be close to family, and obviously like the lakes are amazing, and it's a cool place. And as a younger person, at that time I wasn't really that involved like in the music scene there and stuff, but it obviously comes with like amazing rich history with Motown and like Eminem and like D12 and like yeah, there's loads of really cool music coming from there. So I guess being around that has always been a good thing. And I think like music education in general in the States is really good as well. Like there's a lot of, school band and all that kind of stuff. Like it is quite supported, which is really good.
That's cool. Were you part of the school band or anything like that?
Yeah, I was in the drums section.
Oh, percussion. When did you start? Was that your first instrument, drums?
Yeah, it was actually. I think actually I played violin when I was like really young, but I didn't really get into it much. I wasn't falling in love, but yeah, I kind of started playing like pots and pans from sort of 5, and then I think my parents saw that and they were like, yeah, we need to upgrade you to a snare drum. So I got a snare drum first, and then like I kind of built it from there and did school band, and I think that's how I justified getting a drum kit, and eventually got onto a real kit. And yeah, so that was kind of like my first instrument that I was like super passionate about.
That's amazing. And then eventually you get to London. And what made you move there and attend school?
Yeah, so the initial reason why I came to London actually was with my dad, because my dad's a scientist. So we moved around quite a bit in the teenage years, and yeah, he got offered a job in the UK in London. So we came here, and then he actually ended up leaving quite quickly because he got offered a better position somewhere else where he could continue doing his research. So, but yeah, I think it was like just that particular time in my life, it was like an informative time of like, finding your people and your friends and all that kind of stuff. And I think like I managed to like find a cool community and like get involved in music and stuff here. So then when it kind of came time to that college, university age, like I just made the decision to stay here and make it happen. So yeah, my parents moved back, but I ended up staying here.
Wow. And did you go to college for music at all?
I did actually, yeah. I did like a music technologies type degree. Um and yeah, so it was I had like access to recording studios and stuff like that, but it was actually more based around science. It was like and more of an engineering side. So like we made plugins.
Oh,
We actually,
rad.
yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool. We also did like some hardware stuff and robotics, and actually it was quite funny because we were like the misfits of the kind of department, because we would share um, like modules with people who are like doing aerospace engineering, and then they just have like music people there, and they're like, what are these music people doing in this aerospace engineering module? Like we did, yeah, we did crazy stuff like mathematical logic and stuff like that, because kind of applies to like programming.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it was cool, but it was a nice mix because it's like I got to learn loads of things that I had no, you know, previous experience in. And like, to be honest, like a lot of that stuff really helped to like, as I started to really get into the real like music production side of things, it, you know, it kind of helped to give a better understanding of how, you know, how these plugins work, and you know,
Right.
the sort of more mathematical and scientific end of the creative.
Well, there really
Um,
is a lot of like science and math behind it. If you look into like, even if you're doing like EQing of a like a sound wave, because you're like you're molding different frequencies.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
weird.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, it is. I think like I think they say that like music as a science is like the most complicated type of science. I,
That's
I'm
crazy.
I'm I'm coining that. I'm probably offending like a lot of people. Like my dad, he's
Your dad's like
dedicated.
gonna call you and be like, "What the hell are you talking
Yeah, he'll
about?"
be like, dude, he's like, music is not that. But no, when it comes down to like the fundamentals of like frequency and like sound waves and stuff like that, it's like obviously very like very scientific
Yeah, it
and
really is.
complex. But
Very cool. Well, Steven, how about you? Born and raised.
Born and raised in Sydney, Australia.
Okay. What
And
was it
I
like
had
growing
a
up there?
say that again.
What was it like growing up there?
It was great. I mean, Australia's is such a like it's like California. It's all sunny. You can
Mm-hmm.
do lots of outdoor stuff. Lots of music festivals and lots of sports. I got into music when I was probably about 4 or 5. Um, and played drums as well.
Oh,
As
his
a
first instrument?
Yeah, well, my first instrument actually was an accordion, which is
Oh,
hilarious.
really?
Yeah,
that's
Wow.
amazing.
the old squeeze
That's
box.
so good.
But I mean, not that I'm against accordions, but I quickly moved away from that. And picked up the drums and kind of started. I think I started lessons when I was like 6 or 5. And my dad was a bit of a musician, so he was a drummer, so I kind of took after him.
Hmm.
And I
Did he
had a
play professionally? Like
yeah.
in band stuff? Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I like literally like until I moved to the UK, I was like a professional drummer and studio guy. As in,
Wow.
yeah, so I literally played in every kind of band, like you name it, whoever pays me, I'm gonna play their music.
Sure, why not, right?
So yeah, it was amazing. I got lots of like from world music, all the way to cabaret and everywhere in between, rock, pop, dance, whatever. So that's how I kind of made my bread and butter.
So you started drumming, you said 5, 6 years old, and then do you take that through school as well? Were you in the band and everything like
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Like I remember when I was I basically in primary school I was the drummer in all the bands. I was basically like the drummer in all the bands growing up.
Okay.
Um, and went to Newtown Performing Arts High School, which was a performing arts high school, which was amazing. So I got to do music, harder music there compared to like my twin brother. He plays guitar as well, but he didn't go to performing arts school, and I really saw the difference in the level of what they were teaching at a state school versus a performing arts school.
Oh, interesting. So he is a musician as well, but
Yep.
he took a different route as far as high school went.
Yeah, well, yeah, he didn't get into the performing arts school for some reason. Like he's an amazing guitarist. But I think they were just maybe full of guitarists or something.
Huh.
So yeah, it was quite odd because we're twins and we played in bands growing up. So like to be split in year 7 in high school I mean, it was kind of cool because we got lots of different friends from all walks of life. But yeah, we continued playing together, obviously, all the way till I came to London, basically.
Oh, okay.
In different bands.
So you did that. You played in bands with your brother, and then you were also a studio musician. And how did you get involved in that?
It was just a natural progression. I had like a rock pop band that we were gonna be the biggest thing in the world, we thought. And
Sure.
and I ended up like it was too expensive to like go and record at a studio. So we bought cheap gear, and I was basically the engineer of the group. So and eventually we ended up building up an amazing home studio, like with amazing mics and pre's and compressors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was, my singer at the time had a bit of OCD, so he used to like research what the best like tom mics are, and then we'd save up money and buy the best tom mics, and like that for everything. So it was a good learning curve. I didn't actually go to like a university for it or anything, but all the things I learned on the job were like I feel more valuable because it's all trial and error ultimately.
Sure. And would you record like bands in the area, like local bands?
Yeah, local bands. I started like obviously at some point I like probably when I was about 17 or 18, I started getting paid to like be the engineer, producer guy. And because I was linked into the musician scene in Sydney and everyone kind of knows everyone there. When I eventually bought a studio, everyone used to come to me, like all my friends, everyone used to basically hire my place and hire me, and we got to do amazing records together.
Wow. And
Yeah.
what took you then to the UK? Like, why did you leave all that?
I mean, owning a studio, it was like an amazing dream studio. Actually, when I was with my band, we tried to like record at this place, but it was way too expensive. It was like a few grand a day or something at that point. And about 8 or 10 years later, I literally owned it. I was like, I worked my way up and saved my money, and I got a few lucky breaks, and I owned this studio that I wanted to record in. So it was like, I remember sitting there, broke because I just spent all my money buying this studio, not one client, and sitting there going, oh wow, I've got the dream studio. What do I do next?
Right. Yeah. Oh,
So,
wow. So then you had it and you didn't just,
well,
instead of
then
just staying there and kind of becoming, you know, comfortable, so to speak, and just recording bands and owning this place, you decided to get up and move to the UK?
yeah, I built it up over like about 6 or 7 years. I kept it for about 6 or 7 years, and it was amazing. But I kind of hit the ceiling in Sydney. There's not a huge scene. And a buddy of mine, Tanino, was in London, and he used to come back to Sydney every like Christmas, to see his folks and this and that. And he would tell me all about like, oh man, you got to come to London, check out the scene, it's amazing, And one day I literally bought a ticket and rang him up. And said, dude, I'm coming to stay on your couch soon. And so he was actually working at Tileyard Studios, where I'm based now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I came over, and he just like introduced me to everyone. And that was I suppose my first like taste of like in the box pop production, or not working with bands all the time. It was kind of like, oh wow, we can just make music on a laptop. This is amazing.
Oh, so you hadn't done really that type of production prior to
I
moving there?
I'd had a little
Uh-huh.
bit, but not like we do now. Like
Okay.
it was a whole different, like, you know, recording bands and lots of people compared to like writing songs in a room with people. Is little bit different. So, but yeah, I hadn't really done it that much in Sydney.
Were you involved in the songwriting process as well?
In Sydney, not so much.
Okay.
When I was with my band, I we were all writing the songs. But then after the band split up, we basically for the next 8 years, I was more of a producer engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, so then I moved here. I was like, wow, I can songwrite again. I can be involved and like and it really like it was just a good sea change as well.
Mm-hmm. You have some plaques back there. Were you
Oh
involved in
yeah,
those records?
yeah. There's a few little plaques. Hopefully, you get some more.
Yeah. Tell me about those plaques real quick.
Them ones are for some tunes I did with Sigala.
Oh,
Who,
cool.
yeah, he's a DJ here. We did a tune with Nile Rodgers and John Newman.
Oh, wow. Of Chic, Now Rogers?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
wow.
such a dude. I got to like go into the studio and jam with him.
What was
Um,
that like? He's incredible.
he's a legend. Like he just owns it. I remember we were like, oh, we need some. Like I played the guitars on that track originally,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, oh, we need to get some more guitars on this. We're talking to Niall about it. I was like, I'll be there. Name the
Right.
time. I'm
Right.
there whenever you want.
I'll cancel all plans.
Yeah. He was so lovely. He's just a pro. And we ended up jamming for like half an hour. He was like playing his thing. And then eventually he was like, "Oh, the demo guitar part is just amazing. Why don't we just replay that and make it more Nile?" Um, so it was very flattering
Yeah, I was gonna
my
say that must
part.
have been a huge, yeah, or
Comped,
like, yeah, what a
comped in
compliment.
with Nile.
Yeah, honestly, like
Manovski times Nile.
but I mean that just shows the lack of ego as well, saying, "Well, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. What's there
Hmm.
is great. It was already working, so why don't I just
Yeah.
make it more Nile?"
That's
This is one
awesome.
of the, I was just going to weigh in to say, like, because Steve and I met at Tallyard, because I'm based at Tallyard as well. And our
Oh, okay.
studios actually are next to each other through a vocal booth. So we can see through the vocal booth and we just pull faces at each other and send weird messages to each other and, you know, try and put each other off during the day with some comedy. But yeah, this being in this creative hub is amazing, and there's so many opportunities and like you know, so many awesome people that are around this community. And yeah, it opens up a lot of opportunities, you know, to work with great people.
Mm-hmm. So this you guys met here at the studio that you're at?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we met here. We're actually both managed by Tallyard. They have a separate management company. It's affiliated with the studio, but and yeah, they actually look after Sigala and Joel Corey and Ella Air, and there's about 30 writers and producers that they look after. So we kind of met through that relationship, but as circumstances went, I think if I remember correctly, I think I might have been there first, and then Steve moved into the room next door, and then yeah, we just became super good friends, and that was like probably about 5 years ago now.
Wow. And is
Yeah.
Beautiful the first song you guys have worked on together?
No, it's not actually. We've done quite a few records together before, but it's the first song that we had done together for our project. So,
Okay.
but yeah, we both are writing and producing for a lot of other artists as well. So yeah, we've done a few records for other people already.
But
So yeah,
you're starting a project together. This is going to be your own project together, or?
No, so not strictly. Like this release of Beautiful was it's kind of Steve's project versus my project. It's like a collaboration. So we're not doing it like as a like full-time thing together, but I'm sure that we probably will do some more collaborations in the future between Manovski and Tenchi. But yeah, we kind of both work across each other's music quite frequently, to be honest.
Okay. Was this
Um,
so So Steve, was this a song you had done, or like you had pieces of it and then you asked Tenchi to jump on the song? Like how did the collaboration start?
It was the opposite. Tenchi actually wrote the chorus with Height, a good friend of ours too. The day before, was it? I think it was the day before.
Yeah. It was essentially an idea that we had, and Steve and I literally are in and out of each other's studios probably about 25 times a day, like mainly not working and just talking and hanging out. We eat a lot of burritos as well. Like we have a burrito club.
Burrito club.
Burritos.
Yeah, if only we weren't on Zoom, we could all be hitting up some burritos right now.
I know the burritos. I will say though, the San Diego burritos are far more superior than here in Nashville.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that they're way more superior than our London burritos.
I will say that there is a guy that moved to the town, and he opened up a taco shop, like a little Mexican restaurant, and he's from San Diego, so he brought a lot of the recipes. So it like the inside of the burrito and everything, like that kind of the salsas and stuff that come with it are pretty authentic to San Diego, but they can't get the tortilla down. Like the tortilla is like
tortilla.
It's like they have to go to like, you know, the local supermarket to buy the tortilla. They don't have the authentic tortilla.
Oh man, that's the saddest part. And I think that's like similar here. Is like we don't have, like, no one in London has the tortillas down. I think it's, you know, we don't have a big community of burrito lovers, unfortunately. It's like Steve and I are trying to, like, we're trying to build,
ramp it up.
Yeah, we're
ramping a burrito shop in town.
most people who come to work with us in a session will leave full, having eaten one of a burrito that we've insisted needs to be eaten. So
amazing. Okay.
We're flying the burrito flag. But sorry to interject on the
I love
music
burritos.
question. But yeah, so it was, as Steve was saying, it was the opposite way around. So it was an idea that I was working on, and I just kind of had the bare bones and the sort of main hook of the record. And Steve popped in and was like, "This is sick. I really love this. What is it?" And I just said, "You know, it's just a song that we wrote yesterday."
Begged you for me to work on it. And I was like, "I love this. I have to be a part of this. I don't care. Let me do something."
Yeah, he asked if he could add some snaps on it, and I was like, "Of course you can." The Manovski snaps. But no, like, you know, collaboration is king, and like Steve and I have done Lid stuff together. Like, we massively respect each other's work, and we've worked on a lot of records that we wish the other one had been a part of, you know. So like, it's just kind of a no-brainer. But Steve was like, you know, I love this record, and I'd love to do something with it. And so yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably stemmed it for him and just sent it over and was like, put your ideas in, let's see where we get to. And a lot of what you hear now is kind of that version. So I had basically kind of what I had was the main piano part and the vocal hook. And then Steve kind of came in and added the snaps. And I think Steve did most of like what become the drop. And the funny story is with this record is that we actually ended up doing, like, as you do, I don't know, like, I think there's genuinely like 30 something versions of the song. Once Steve had done his initial idea on the record, we then went back in the studio together to finish it, you know, sitting together, and we actually got Height to come back in and wrote a new part, which is like the second verse. So we all wrote that together. And then we just like basically went into the studio a bunch of times to like do different versions, and it went off into like a completely different direction at some point, probably a few times. But and then the irony being is that the version that we end up releasing is it's pretty much, I'd say, like 90% the first ever version that Steve kind of gave back is kind of like what we ended up putting out.
That's funny.
So we kind of went into this full circle, and it took a couple years as well. I think it took, what was it, Steve? Maybe two years?
Yeah, it was definitely a few years from the first version. but yeah, it was.
Wow,
It
so it's
was.
been a work in progress.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, we had to go and do everything we didn't like first.
Right, of course.
To
make
realize that what we had was
To realize,
really good.
yeah, exactly. That you love the first version.
Yeah.
During COVID and when everything kind of shut down, did that affect your guys' workflow or the amount of work you were probably doing, or no?
Yeah. Well, definitely. Like, I think like all of London shut down for 3 to 6 months, pretty much. It was like
Right.
lockdown. I didn't have really a studio at home to work out of. We could have come to the studio, but we didn't know what was going on, so everyone was a bit cautious.
Mm-hmm.
But then we did a bunch of like, it was a good time to do like production, Zoom production sessions for records that were coming out or whatever.
Okay.
Because I remember doing production on a record and streaming it to the artist, and he was in like the supermarket buying his groceries, and then he would be listening to it on headphones and then WhatsApp me and go like, oh yeah, I love that bass line, can you move that, you know, an eighth note over or whatever. So it's pretty amazing, like being able to produce over the internet and get proper feedback like on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, Zoom is life changing, right? I mean, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
And audio movers is like, I think from a production perspective was key because it's high quality.
Yeah, it was an interesting time for many reasons. I think one of the, you know, besides obviously needing to mention all the bad parts of COVID and the lives lost and the, you know, the disruption and all that, you know, trying to look into the positives of it. Like, I think it opened up a new way of thinking and working about making music. I think also in the job that Steve and I do, just to explain, we kind of are like writer producers turned artists in a sense. So we actually, for the most part, are working on other projects for more, you know, established artists and stuff.
Right.
And we've kind of moved into releasing music as you know, as the artists themselves. But one thing that I would say that was a positive thing about this world change was the amount of sort of opportunities and stuff like that opened up, because you have to imagine like most artists' time is mainly spent touring and doing promotion and you know, it was a time where the songwriter producer, although important to the process, it was kind of, I'd say, more towards the bottom of the importance, because, you know, most of the money and stuff comes from live music and touring, and it's like obviously you need a couple of songs a year to sustain that. But really what kind of happened with COVID was the whole business flipped kind of pretty much upside down, and the songs became the most important thing, because it was really the only thing that you could do to keep sustaining your music career. So for me personally, I built some really good relationships over that time and started working with people that I've always wanted to work with, but I got personally told by a DJ that I work a lot with called Galantis, that had we not been in a situation, it would be very unlikely that we'd have the time to meet and start collaborating. So yeah, that's an interesting thing as well, like how it's opened up more opportunities in some sense, working online and
it's become acceptable to like do a Zoom session, and now it's like, well, like, why not work with someone from Nashville?
Right.
You know, like it's as long as you get the time zones, like fine, like you know, you can work anywhere with internet basically.
Yeah, now you can work with anyone across the whole world, right? The globe.
It's definitely become more like song based, which is really cool. Because it's so hard to like produce in the moment on Zoom, because of all the lag. It's more about, okay, here's some chords, let's craft a song, and then worry about the production later.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think like pre it becoming a thing, to work online, it was like, if you thought about working with an international artist or writer, it was like you would wait till you go to LA the one time, you know, for a few weeks a year to work with that person. And now it's like my week is like, even just if I say today I've done music, you know, maybe not necessarily like producing or making music, but I've conducted musical endeavors today in LA, in New York, in Lithuania, in Italy, in London, and in Germany.
Wow.
So, and it's like, that's just like normal now. And before it was like, we would wait to go to Berlin for, you know, in 3 months' time to kind of conduct that business. And,
Right.
you know, especially in terms of sessions as well. Like, it's been cool because like we have way more international, you know, international sessions going on now, which is really cool. And it's just great to, you know, to be able to connect with people on that level.
For sure. Do you think Beautiful will just be the first bit of a project that you guys are gonna put out together?
Yeah.
Let's I mean, hopefully we get to do lots more together. I think even if like whether we're like putting our names on it or not, we always work together on loads of stuff. So we could work for something and it's for the Tenchi project and or for the Manovski project or for whoever. But yeah, it'd be I think it'd be you know, it's there's something cool about having a clique of people that work. And when you know you get good stuff, you know, just continuing that thing and adding people into the mix here and there. So yeah, I think definitely we'll continue doing stuff and we'll see what happens.
I love it.
Hopefully we can write another banger.
I'm sure you will. And I thank you guys so much for doing this and being so cool and flexible on the time. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, I have one more question for you both. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
I mean, it for me it took ages to like find what sound I wanted to have, and so I would say, you know, for an aspiring artist, like stay true to your own sound and don't try not to get swayed too much by what's current, you know, or what some random A&R is saying, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. I feel like if you stay true to yourself and your vision, and keep on working on it and make the best music you can, it'll cut through. At some point you'll get your break and it'll explode. And you'll have I feel like if you're more unique, you'll have a longer career than just copying the next people over or what's cool and trendy.
I like it.
Yeah. That's really, really good advice. I think for me, I think it's important that everyone, I think it's just important to remember that everyone's different and has different needs. And, you know, what works for one person probably won't work for you. And it's just about kind of going through a journey and finding what it is that inspires you to create something that is unique, whether that be living life or, you know, listening and being inspired by loads of other music. But yeah, I think it's just important to figure out what works for you, and that's been a long journey for myself, to be honest, like just figuring it out. You know, there's a lot of experimentation with kind of figuring out like what is the sort of formula that kind of works for you. And I think obviously the fundamental thing is just to have fun, and I think what I tend to see that seems to transcend is when music is something that you really passionately yourself believe in and love, and it's like that is usually where you'll get the most chance of having you know, a successful career is just by basically making yourself happy first and foremost, and not worrying about trying to please other people, and as people saying, like, you know, not trying to follow a trend or anything like that. And I think if you're doing that and you're really excited about what you're doing, that tends to be when other people are really excited about, you know, the music that you're making.
That's how Beautiful happened, right? It was like we just loved it. We were just like from the first time I heard it, I was like, literally, I have to be a part of this, whatever it is. So I mean, and I think it turned out great. So the same kind of method, I think you know, use all the time.
Bringing it back